El siguiente espacio es un programa pagado y las opiniones emitidas en el mismo no representan la opinión de CBBA Radio ni de sus patrocinadores.
Hi, and welcome to Your Health Naturally. I'm Lilybeth Andre, naturopath and pranic healer with Healthy Balance here in Houston, Texas. Today we have an interesting program. We're going to be talking about tattoos and how they affect our health. I have a guest here, David Ortiz, who is a doctor in naturopathy, and he specializes in this method of removing tattoos naturally. So we'll talk more about that. But we know that tattoos have been found historically since Neolithic times. Mummies have been found with what appear to be tattoos on their skin. And we know that tattoos have been used in China, in India, the Mayan culture, the Aztecs, the Polynesians. Warriors and slaves were tattooed for identification. So tattoos have been used historically for different reasons and over time. Fashionably, they're currently out and you will see them. There's religious reasons why people tattoo themselves. So there are permanent and temporary tattoos. So we'll talk about some of that today. But first of all, we're going to introduce David. Hi, David. Dr. Ortiz, how are you today?
Oh, great. How are you doing, Lily? Good to be here.
I'm glad you're here. I wanted you to tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, Lily, I was an Army medic. I was a young Army medic. I joined the Army when I was a young man, and I was an infantry medic, so I saw a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. As a young man, I was in the Army. Then I was thrown into the emergency room because there was a shortage of doctors and nurses at the time. I saw a little bit of everything, including some ambulance duty where we really saw a lot of everything.
Wow, a lot of action there, I'm sure. Okay, and how did you come into the natural healing practice?
After the military into civilian life, I worked mostly in hospital systems. Then I worked for some private physicians, and then I got all out of it altogether until I met my young bride, Leah Ortiz, and Leah was into fertility, and I was into something else, and she was a naturopath in fertility mostly. Leah used to ask what part of the Houston area from. Now she asks what part of the country you're from. And then one day she tells me, David, I could use a little help.
Oh, great.
And so I went on through the academia to become a naturopath, and there we are, still asking people what part of the country you're from. My wife, because of our work in the ministry, she took it upon herself because she noticed that there was a lot of sex trafficking in Houston, and these were actually human slaves that were branded, and that was how we drifted off into tattoo removal.
How interesting. Well, and of course you I'm sure ran into the other types of tattoos. So was there a need? And tell me about a little bit of how you created the company, how that came about.
At first, it was just on an individual basis where people wanted the young ladies that were branded to get the brand off after they found another life. Then we found that people that were in gangs, per se, that got out of their life, well, they were still branded in such a way to get that off. But then vanity started to come in, where people would come in. I'll be honest with you, some of them want to remove a tattoo to put on another one. Fine, okay, we'll do that also. Some of them tend to get light, they get faded, and there's a reason for that, which I'll tell you later. And so we'll remove them in that way also. So what started off as trying to help someone out blossomed into something else.
How interesting. So in helping these women with human trafficking that happen to be tattooed as property, you were able to help them and create a whole new company.
Able to create a whole new company and then draw other people into seeing that, okay, they look cute, they're nice, but the health concern involved in it, some people just aren't aware of the risk.
Mm-hmm. So, and there's a lot of risk involved. Why don't you tell us some of that?
Well, a person gets a tattoo as a young person, they get the tattoo on.
Mm-hmm.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without stopping, without taking a second off, the white blood cells are trying to remove it.
Mm.
And they have a little bit of success because they got their tattoo in their 20s and their 30s. Then when they become an older person, 20, 30 years later, the white blood cells did have a little bit of success.
Mm-hmm.
They did remove it. And that's why they see it faded. And then they go and refill it back in.
Mm-hmm.
The white blood cells will take the tattoo, the ink, take it into the lymphatic system where it works itself around. Hopefully it won't get stuck in the liver. Hopefully it won't get stuck in the brain. Hopefully it won't get stuck in the circulatory system. So basically they wind up peeing it out in time.
Mm-hmm. So it could have multiple effects, not just necessarily on the skin as an irritant.
It might get stuck somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the places it might get stuck in is the liver.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the liver screams, but we don't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
It screams in such a way where there may be some brain fog. It screams in such a way where the liver will get fat and congested. It'll scream in such a way. Those are the people that when you jump in front of the freeway, they're honking on the horn.
Mm-hmm.
It'll affect their moods.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the things that a congested liver will get you. Where did it come from? It may have been the ink.
How interesting. Now, yes, we know that some of the inks, or most of the inks, would you say most of the inks are toxic?
Oh,
Oh.
I can't say that without anything that touches your skin,
Mm-hmm.
not in minutes, not in seconds. I call it nanoseconds.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that touches your skin will penetrate.
Mm-hmm.
Because the white blood cells will say, this isn't supposed to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll eventually get to the liver, where the liver will say, wait a minute, this isn't food, this isn't water, what do I do with it?
Mm-hmm.
And the liver, being the good soldier that it is, will cover it with fat, and it'll hold on to it until it tries to figure out what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that, is there an organic ink? All right, I don't know. They don't even investigate the ink that's out there now. I doubt they're going to investigate if organic ink is safe.
Mm-hmm.
If they're letting you inject mercury, lead, cadmium, the same stuff they make AA batteries out of, if they're letting that be in your body, I doubt they're going to care if some ink is natural or not.
Why don't you tell us exactly how a tattoo works? What is the process? Say I'm coming in and I'm wanting a tattoo. What's the first thing that happens?
Basically, it's like a micro needle that's injecting ink,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll inject it below the dermis, and it'll just stay there. Again, the white blood cells will try to draw it out,
Mm-hmm.
but that would be like Lily asking you to eat a piece of cake, but that piece of cake is the size of a 10-story building. You're not going to have much success. The white blood cells, in time, they'll work at it until they die off,
Mm-hmm.
and then that ink will just stay there, and then generation after generation of the white blood cells will try to draw it out. That's where, when they fill it in, the white blood cells will say, okay, we'll try it again.
Mm-hmm. So it becomes a metal that's traveling across the body system.
It gets into the lymphatic system, something that they just barely came up a couple of years ago that, you know what, the lymphatic system probably goes into the brain. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yes, it'll travel all through the body, eventually getting into the liver.
Very interesting. Well, we're going to take a break here, and we'll be right back.
Hola amigos, soy Cristóbal Galindo, el abogado de la raza. Si tu casa fue afectado por Hurricane Harvey que llegó a nuestra ciudad, llámame. Si tu reclamo al seguro fue mal pagado o no pagado, llámame. Nosotros te podemos ayudar con una evaluación gratis, y si nosotros no ganamos el caso, no cobramos nada. La primera cita siempre es gratis. Llámame 713-228-3030. Yo soy Cristóbal Galindo, el abogado de la raza. No te preocupes, yo te voy a ayudar.
Comienza el 2018 sanándote. Llama ya al 832-378-0906. Ven y cambia tu vida. Te ofrecemos terapias de cambio, life coach, reiki y lo más importante, cura adicciones, estrés, miedo, dolor, ansiedad y mucho más con una sesión de hipnosis. Consultas al 832-378-0906.
Mientras usted duerme, trabaja o va manejando, siempre hay riesgo de accidente que usted no puede evitar. El abogado de la raza está de su lado y ganará lo que usted merece.
No se preocupe, usted cuenta conmigo. Yo soy Cristóbal Galindo, el abogado de la raza.
Para todo tipo de casos, comunícate al 713-228-3030 o 188-800-1808 y haz tu consulta gratis.
Hello and welcome back to Your Health Naturally. We have our guest, Dr. David Ortiz, and we're talking about tattoos. Some of the reasons why people get tattoos and how they've been used historically to brand people for human trade and warriors, those types of reasons. But of course now socially, the social use of tattoos. David, what are some of the current applications for tattoos?
Well, I mean, some people just, I don't know where the whole arm thing came in, but that's one of them. And then, I mean, there's Sarah married to John, but then she has Albert here, or, you know, and so, I mean, that gets to be uncomfortable. One person we saw there in the office, 5 different ladies' names on his chest, but I mean, I'm not going to get it off. Mm-hmm. And so, again, going back, he could go back and put the balm or something, acid, try to get it off. But as I mentioned before, anything that touches your skin is going to enter your body. Mm-hmm. So now on top of the ink he has going into his body, now he has this acidy thing that eats ink now entering his body. So I guess it looks cute or whatever, but they're alternatives. Mm-hmm. Get you a nice shirt with stuff like this on there. You can take it off and then you're done with it.
You wash that tattoo. Now, what are some of the perhaps emotional reasons why people would want to have tattoos? Does it have anything to do with cutting?
I mean, the saying, hurting people hurt. Mm-hmm. Some people like to hurt. And believe me, there have been more than a few people that have came in that we try to put a numbing agent on there before to draw back from the pain. Again, if they remember when their tattoo was put on, let's call that a 10. The pain level you're going to feel with us will probably a 1 or a 2. Mm-hmm. There's ladies on the phone while we're working. Okay. And they're on the phone while we're working on their arm. I don't know why, but it seems like the ladies can take the pain, the whatever pain is there, be it minute, better than men. We get guys in there that look like Tarzan that are like, you know, that hurt. I don't know.
The threshold's very low.
And then some people don't want the numbing agent on. They want to feel that sting. Mm-hmm. Get a clothespin, anything. I mean, what? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense, but that's going off into something else, why they like to feel pain.
Mm-hmm. Emotional. Could you tell us about some of your cases, some interesting facts and reasons why people were choosing to have their tattoos removed?
Well, I mean, again, going back to Sarah married with John, and then she has Albert tattooed across there. Mm-hmm. The guy with the 5 different names, always going back into a fellow might have been in a gang and then decided to get off of that. A guy has Pittsburgh Steelers on here, but he now lives in San Francisco and he can't stand the Steelers anymore. You know, and
those
so
things.
it's for vanity's sake a lot. Mm-hmm. So yes.
And I think the human trafficking aspect is very interesting.
The human trafficking, I bow down to my wife. That was the one that got us into it, because she wanted to remove that brand from the ladies that were wanted to start a new life. And meanwhile, they have a symbol where they were branded. So anybody who saw that knew that they were once a human sex slave. They got out of that business, and now they're a receptionist at a local office. But they still have that brand. And as a courtesy, she helped them out with that, and I bowed down to her. That was her vision.
That's amazing work, and that's how the company got started.
That was the first step.
That's amazing.
And she took that first step, and she said, somebody's going to have to train in that. And then I said, why are you looking at me? and then I then took a glance over to my brother-in-law, and he said, well, why are you looking at me? And so we went to a deep, dark place in winter to train for this. I think it was called Miami, and we had to put up with that cold Miami winter.
How dreadful.
But we dealt with it.
Yes. Well, this is amazing work. Now, what can people expect when they decide to have a tattoo removed? What are the various ways that they can have a tattoo removed?
The various ways would be to the balming, the where they go out and they get this acid-based ointment, they put it on there over time. Google up something where I think I saw grapefruit and lemon and honey and I guess it'll work over time. The laser, which hurts from what I've heard over and over again. Cover it up with another tattoo, or come to us, which is a professional office in a building where we have an office space that's just for that. It's not a tattoo shop or anything like that.
It's part of
There's
a clinic.
not going to be any heavy metal playing in the background. I guess we could find some if you wanted, but no. It's going to be a professional office in a professional building with a professional equipment doing it to you in a nice, serene atmosphere.
And I understand there could be also medical reasons why you would want to have a tattoo removed. I know that it can...
The black or the blue, heavy metal. The red, mercury. The yellow, the blues and the greens, cadmium. All this is going into your body, heavy metals that are going to go eventually wind up in the liver and it's a toxin. If I were to ask you, here, eat on this battery for a while, you'd look at me, you're crazy. But yet they'll get it and they'll put it on their body, again, invading the liver. The liver slows down, and all of a sudden, everything starts to slow down. And the liver will scream at you, and it'll yell at you, and it'll tell me, I don't like this. But it doesn't say it in words, it'll say it in brain fog, knees cracking when you bend over, pain on the right side, memory loss, memory fog, a propensity to like alcohol and spirits.
Interesting.
Comes from that also. So why do a lot of tattoo people drink a lot? Maybe they don't want to. Maybe it's because the liver, because it's so toxic, causes that propensity to lead into that.
How interesting. So once the tattoo is in place, say I have a tattoo here on my arm, it doesn't stay there. What happens?
Well, the actual ink will actually, the white blood cells will draw it into the lymphatic system and draw it into the lymphatic system, and eventually over time you'll wind up peeing it out. Laser will break it up into small little pieces where the white blood cells can actually get it, take the lymphatic system, and draw it out. Our system gets it and pulls it out. Now, I don't want to disillusion you into thinking I'm going to go in there and leave and I'm not going to have it. It's a process. It's a slow process. Fine, great, whatever. In 20 years, where's that tattoo going to be? It's still going to be there. Give us a couple of weeks, we can get it out naturally where it'll pull itself out.
Interesting, very interesting. Well, let's take a break and we'll be right back.
Esto puede sucederte en cualquier momento y en cualquier lugar. Tú podrías estar involucrado en una situación como esta. No hay manera de prevenirlo, pero sí cómo resolverlo. De la mano de quien te puede ayudar, tu abogado Cristóbal Galindo.
Soy Cristóbal Galindo, el abogado de la raza, y tú cuentas conmigo.
Estamos para ayudarte. Nuestra primer consulta es completamente gratis. Llámanos ahora y haz una cita ya.
No dejes que tu evento solo sea local y quede en el olvido. CBBA Production te transmite a todo el mundo tu conferencia, certamen de belleza, quinceañeras o cualquier tipo de evento que tengas totalmente en vivo a través de Facebook, YouTube y cbbaradio.com. Te garantizamos los precios más accesibles de todo Houston. Para mayor información, llámanos al 281-745-4309 o escríbenos a info@cbbaproduction.com.
No te preocupes, la tranquilidad que tú necesitas, el abogado Cristóbal Galindo te la puede dar. Él te defenderá sin miedo, capaz de llegar hasta la corte más importante de Estados Unidos.
Si usted se encuentra con un problema migratorio, llámame 713-228-3030. La primera cita siempre es gratis y me da un orgullo servirle.
713-228-3030. Te atendemos las 24 horas del día. Recuerda, el abogado en quien puedes confiar es Cristóbal Galindo, el abogado de la raza.
And welcome back. This is Lily Beth Andre with Your Health Naturally, and we're talking with Dr. David Ortiz about tattoo removal and tattoos in general. So, David, is there anything else about tattoos that people should know?
Again, you're pushing heavy metals in. You're pushing toxins in. And like our method, like I said, will draw it out. The white blood cells will pull it into the body. I'd like to give an example. You get up at night, you walk in the dark, you hit your toe. It hurts everywhere. And it'll travel, and you're saying words are coming out of your mouth. Well, it happened down there when you hit your toe. The tattoo might be here, and then why did I get cancer over here? And why did I get cancer here? I can't say definitely where it came from, but if you go shooting in toxic heavy metals into your body, that can't be a good thing.
And could it affect your hearing, your eyesight? I mean, when metals travel, they can go anywhere.
It can go anywhere, but everything, I think, drifts back to the circulatory system, the liver, the heart, and then it drifts off into the brain, into the lymphatic system. Anything that affects your liver is going to affect your mood. Like I said, all of a sudden overly aggressive, overly mad, moody, depressed all the time. You walk into a room, what did I come in here for? Stuff like that probably anybody pays any attention to. The liver is screaming at you 18 different ways, and we just don't get it sometimes.
So calling for help.
Calling for help, and then like I said, it's there until we get it out. As long as it's there, as long as you can see it, it's in there, it's getting drawn in, and it's getting taken in.
Are there any side effects to this?
To the process of removal, it's all natural. That's one of the things I have no problem putting on somebody, because I know that it's all natural. You put it on there, we apply it on there. It's a process that we do, almost like doing the tattoo in reverse, where it draws it out. The only thing we're going to ask is that you don't get it wet. You don't for at least until it scabs up. It'll come out usually in one piece if you leave it alone.
Okay.
Getting that process done before you get ready to go on vacation and the Bahamas is not a good idea, because we don't want it to get wet. A lot of people say, well, I have it here, I have it here, I have it here, I have it here. How do I not get that wet? Figure it out. We can figure it out.
There's different ways. Now, is it painful to have it removed that way?
When they got the tattoo, let's call when you got the tattoo, let's call that a 10, because you had never felt that before. Let's call that a 10, the most pain. Let's call that a 10. Our process, it'll be a 1 or a 2 on that scale of 1 to 10 you just gave us. Like I said, I've had women on the phone talking about whatever they're talking about while we're working on their arm. No problem.
No problem.
And we've had men that, like I said, look like Tarzan, that that hurt a little bit. But again, it'll be on a scale of 1 to 2.
Okay.
I've never seen anyone, I can't leave here, I want to leave. I have seen that, or I have heard of it in laser places. Nothing against the laser people. I'm just calling it as it is.
So there's laser and other...
The
what-
balming, the acid agents, you put it on, the laser, and then ours, the all-natural method. In the Houston area, there's us, just us. There's another person, she's not taking any new clients. Another person, she's focusing more on eyebrows and the eyelids.
cosmetic.
We're not getting into that.
Okay.
Only two spots that we can't cover are the derriere and the feet, because it's really, really hard not getting those wet. Any place else other than the face, we can help.
You can work on that. Great. And how can people get a hold of you?
11,500 Northwest Freeway, Suite 300 is our address. 281-995-5093 is our address. Or Delete Tattoo, DELETTOO.com.
Great. Well, thanks for being on the show. I'm glad you were here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Thanks. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you found this episode interesting. You know, you can find our other episodes, past episodes, on our YouTube channel, so you can catch up there if you missed anything. And I hope to see you all next week. Thank you.
El programa anterior fue un programa pagado y las opiniones emitidas en el mismo no representan la opinión de CBBA Radio ni de sus patrocinadores.